It is now our honor to welcome Reverend Stephen Rozzelle, who is the 1997 Russ Berrie Making a Difference awardee and an Episcopal priest. Good to have you with us, Reverend.
Thank you very much.
All the way back in 1997, you were a winner. That was the first year of the awards, the Russ Berrie Awards for Making a Difference. You remember that?
You know what? I had forgotten about it completely until they formed the group of all the winners, and then I kind of remembered because I've got memorabilia from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also the organization that you were working with, Curbing Hunger. What was the organization and the mission? Because it still exists today.
Well, it was to provide food for the community by collecting via our recycling crew, and it was only in the month of June with the theme "Hunger Doesn't Take a Vacation." So it all started with an idea that I had at breakfast table with my family. I was president of the food bank at the time, and the recycling center in Somerset County was the next building. So I'm having breakfast. It was a Monday morning, and the recyclers came, and I just got the idea. Oh my goodness, why couldn't we put some food out with our recycling and have the recyclers just drop it off on their way to the recycling plant? And so I went to the freeholders, and I loved the idea, but you can't mix food with garbage, they said. But we love the idea so much, we'll be happy to provide a truck to follow the recyclers to pick up food. And so first year we collected 80,000 pounds of food, which is more than they get the rest of the year put together. And that started it off. It was so exciting.
And the Russ Berrie folks, the foundation, the Berrie Foundation recognized you that first year. Did you have any idea? I mean, literally, we're getting close to 25-year anniversary, which is why this series is called 25 for 25. The idea that millions of dollars have been awarded to folks like yourself and not-for-profit organizations, well over 300, close to 400 people have been recognized as winners of the Russ Berrie Making Difference Award. What do you, from your perspective, as a man who is dedicated, as a leader who's dedicated himself to making a difference in the lives of others, the idea that there are so many people making a difference and that the foundation recognizes them, what do you think that says?
I have a theme that we find what we look for, and so that you can look for what's wrong, or you can look for, what's wonderful, and that's a great way of perpetuating, the idea of bringing hunger to the forefront of people's minds and consciousness so they can contribute. One of the things that made this go, I don't think too many people like being accosted at the ShopRite, with "please hunger," but this is a very convenient way of giving food to the hungry, and I think it's like, wow, that you got recognized for it. It was beyond my comprehension what would happen after that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Reverend, the work you're doing today, nearly 25 years after we met at the Russ Berrie Making a Difference Awards, you focus a fair amount on grief, helping people deal with grief. And as it relates to COVID-19 and grief, what in particular makes dealing with grief so difficult right now?
Well, one of the things I do about grief is I always have families create a project that captures the goodness of the person they're grieving for. So they're not left with the past, but that there's as a result of the awfulness and the grief, that a project is created that brings life somewhere else. That's the way I do things.
How do you do that, Reverend? How do you do that, Reverend?
Well, I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, a woman came to me who had grown up in this church with her son. They lived in Florida, and he died tragically in his early 30s. And I said to her, "Dory, the mother, tell me about your son." And she said, "Well, my favorite story about Jeffrey is a couple years ago, he was driving on the highway in Florida, and he came across this heron that had been clipped, and it was fluttering all over, and cars were going crazy around it. Jeffrey stopped the car so that no one could hit the heron, put the heron in the trunk, drove it to the bird sanctuary, and 6 months bird sanctuary called and said the heron had healed, and they put him back into the wild." So I said, "Mother Dory, it sounds Jeffrey was very kind and compassionate." She said, "Those are the exact words that I would use." So with a lot of things, They both went to high school in Butler. For the last three, I have presented the Jeffrey Keenan Kindness and Compassionate Award, $500 gift certificate. And I said to Dory, it'll be a parent's proudest moment. You know, we do sports at graduation, we do smarts, but we don't do your heart. I found out last year the kids at Butler High School are actually competing for the award. Is that fabulous?
It's awesome.
You got hundreds of kids competing to be kind and compassionate, and the mother got a little sparkle back to her. And that's what I do. I take the awfulness and create life somewhere else, and that's one of my favorite examples. And the mother, Dory, is like so excited. You know, she gets phone calls from the award winners, but she has created life somewhere else as a result of the tragedy of her grief.
But, you know, Reverend, that's powerful on so many levels. But the other question in terms of COVID, I'm curious, how has it impacted your ministry?
Well, from the beginning, this is just my way of doing things. You can be focused on what's wrong, or you can be focused on what's possible. And so the church services inside have been minimal, you know, for obvious reasons. But as a result of doing Facebook services, we have 600 people watching the service instead of 150 people on Sundays. I've started a meditation every Sunday, which is like a middle, like a small sermon, but it's like I don't dwell in the past where grief is. It's like let's take the awfulness of something, again, create something. And so I've met more people walking in my neighborhood than ever before. And so it's like, yes, there's awful, but I don't focus on awful. I focus on what's possible.
How'd you get to be such a positive person?
Well, maybe through education. You don't learn that in seminary. In fact, everything in seminary is about your head. Oh, it's just been a long process along the way. And it's what I preach about all the time is listening for what's possible, not what's wrong.
Yeah, say that quote again. Don't focus on what is wrong, focus on what is possible, right?
What is possible, yes. And so you can be focused on your own grief and isn't it awful and all of that, or you can be on the lookout for others who are grieving and be a source of support for them, create a new relationship.
Well, Reverend Stephen Rozzelle, I'm pretty confident, very confident. You just help an awful lot of people just sharing your perspective. 1997, Russ Berrie Making a Difference awardee, Episcopal priest. I want to thank you, Reverend, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I'm Steve Adubato. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center, New Jersey Sharing Network, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, Valley Bank, United Airlines, Rutgers University, Newark, and by Fedway Associates, Inc. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Monthly and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association.
Data shows that many patients have avoided seeking critical health care in the wake of COVID-19 for fear of contracting the virus. Delaying medical care can have serious consequences, so you should never second guess or ignore your symptoms. At Holy Name Medical Center, we have measures in place to prevent infectious disease from spreading. We're clean, we're open, and we're safe for all your healthcare needs.